stronger.
Dalron says, Dalron's party speed run, all welcome. XOR says, it's like this, everyone has the possibility to loot an item. If they got it they can choose to keep it or give it to the guild. Says, Eraldor says, LF healer last boss dungeon LV40. Parekhan says, fair enough. Surf02 says, 50 LFG Shadow Crypt. Wu Blitzen says, we do 50 Abyss of Death and need heal and DD. Parekhan says, thank you for the raid. Have fun. Says, killed Sand Scorpion. Gwyn Res says, don't worry, my rolls won't be as high next time. This was Zenboy says, oh, PPL who loot from boss can just keep? Didn't know. Oldenburger Jung says, we need 1 tank. Gay Like It says, we need 3 more for Abyss, tanks if possible. Gay Like It's party. Winres says, yep, they just didn't need that, so in order to progress guild, they decided to distribute it. Eraldor says, LF healer last boss dungeon LV40. Gwynres says, XOR Xphenigma says, Des FR solo. Oldenburger Jung says, LF tank temple of massacre LV. Ertu Grolbay says, Ertu Grolbay's party.
Please announce the current standings in each registry.
Here are the interim results.
Smoke and Fly says, yeah. Yunsen says, can someone help me with Coop Dungeon? Gay Like It says, Abyss LVL 20 Gay Like It's party. Fenrose says, LF1 DPS LVL 20 Abyss Fenrose's party. XOR Arc says, of course I'm hoping that y'all only keep it if you need. Zenboy says, I guess only epic look can be given to guild. All rare we auto taken by each other. Gwifto N says, DP. XOR Arc says, yep. EMR says, hello, die Guild Leos Asteri such and ditch. Does such snack einer Freundlichen Guild MIT Discord. Terzu says, LF3 DPS and LT, --LVL 20 dungeon. XOR Arc says, I could do it with blue gig. Says, Star Tree successfully logged. Finn Ruvok says, La Guild Française. Zenboy says, BTW how does trade system work here? Yunsen says, Theomaric word burn Baitritman. XOR Arc says, there isn't, that's why we do it like that. KCHD says, any groups in Shadow Crypt? Zenboy says, ooh. Eraldor XOR Arc says, you can only in quad, trade and quad, via auction house, where you can only buy stuff with real money.
Some expert grave robbers are trying to get their hands
Terzu
on the
says,
ground.
LF4 DPS and LT, --LVL 20 dungeon quick runs. Gay Like It says, he wanted the level 40 dungeon. Graph Anime says, Schließ dich dem for leaves ********. Zenboy says, I mean there is a point to exchange some blue ones for lithograph. Zenboy says, and I guess we can't. says, you can use dash morph soon. XOR says, what do you mean by that?
There's lots of activity in each registry. Looks like it's going well.
Terzu says, LF4 DPS and LT-LVL20 dungeon quick runs. Says, you have acquired Bonanza Hidden Brown Mica completion reward, S. Oldenburger Jung says, need tank Temple of Slaughter June 5th. Zenboy says, can explain in other words. Zenboy says, for example. Says, used mutilation. Says, currently unable to morph into a morphed form. Says, you are death after effect tier 1. Visit an Einer priestess to get a cure. Resurrection cooldown 10 seconds. Hypnotized says, need group for Shadow Crypta. Says, summon Shadow Mayhem. Oldenburger Jung says, need tank Temple of Slaughter June 5th.
Officer, how's it looking?
Zenboy says, I would like to trade some rare items for other CO complete lithograph progression. Says, you are death after effect tier 2. Visit an Einer priestess to get a cure. Resurrection cooldown 10 seconds. Stalls Will says, what do we need to do? XOR Arc says, for Zenboy says, but it seems I can't cause of absence of barter mechanics in game. Says, you cannot attack other players in this zone. No penalties will be applied upon death. XOR Arc says, gee, the game is lacking trading for now, so you need to find that blue gear yourself.
I know.
Says, death after effect cured. Says, peace, blood mushroom gathering is a peace zone where, Finruvox says, la guilde française l'unité de corbeau recrute des joueurs pour tout type de continuer progresseur ensemble bien évidemment dans le jeu. Zenboy says, anyway. Nicole 888 says, idiots. XOR Arc says, they said Microsoft said there is no trading to stop RMTP.
You're in the lead. It's almost over. Hurry and collect more mushroom chunks.
Gay Like It says, need a tank for level 20 Abyss. XOR Arc says, well, we will see how it works out. If there is a demand to roll blues, we will think about it. For now, we keep it like we just did it. Nicole 888 says, Nick Dangrive. Page Forum Kino says, need group for Shadow Crypt. Zenboy says, pure innocent childs.
Did you collect
Frank
a lot of
Gay Like
mushroom
It says,
chunks?
let's go
Now the
5
ants
people.
will slowly return. You're in the lead.
Vater Der Magier says, Der Magi Staatsuchtak. Shirabaya says, LF1 Deep says, peace. Desert Caravan is a peace zone where you cannot attack other players. Graph Anime says, XOR Arc says, yep. PMR says, hello, die Gilda Leos Asteri such and ditch. Dis such snack einer Freundlichen Guild MIT Discord für Anfänger, Zoom gemeinsamen Leveln, Grinden und mehr. Dan Senduns Jetstein Anfrigen says, you have acquired secret in the sand dust completion reward, S. Says, all of the moonlight scale in your possession disappeared. Says, killed lethal venom cobra. Says, you participated in, peace, desert caravan. Says, killed armadillo. Says, you have acquired Queen's Blessing completion reward, S. Shirabaya says, LF1 heal or DPS Butcher's last boss. Nicole 888 says, idiotin. Euphonic says, go LVL2. Says, you have entered a peace zone. Fin Ruvoc says, La Guilde Française le niveau de corbeau recrute des uses it des joueurs pour tout type de continue it évolue ensemble it recrutement sont ouverts en hésites pas à postuler. Parek Han says, is there any way to hide the guild? General Putty says. Johnson 2512 says. Zenboy says, anyone. Vater Der Magier says, Der Magi Staatsucht active Magier / Zauberer die. XOR Arc says, G in the chat options, bottom left in the chat window.
Resistance.
Dalron says, Dalron's party speed run. Ol says, you have acquired Beyond the Sandstorm completion reward. S says, you have entered a peace zone. Ty Turcoda says, LV30 dungeon. Shirabai Macken's 4 Maj says, Selam neighbor. Exormian says, Guild Thundervale is recruiting more players for our journey. Tai Turkota says, Tai Turkota's party LV30 dungeon DPS and healer. Zenboy says, oh, Guild LVL up. Zenboy says, that I missed, grats us. Parekhan says, got it thanks. XOR Arcs says, you have acquired Beyond the Sandstorm completion reward, S.
Unless it's urgent, Sandstorm and Queen Belanda. We'll wait for things to calm down.
Says, you have acquired Beyond the Sandstorm completion reward, S. Bravo Zoni says, LF heal last boss Abyss. Bravo Zoni says, last healer was a asterisk 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 asterisk.
It's almost time.
Bravo Zoni says, quick join healer please 5-minute boss.
Oh my. Almost there. Just need to go a little further.
Shirabaya says, LF1 heal or DPS butcher's last boss. Says, killed armadillo. Bravo Zoni says, thanks mate. Says, killed armadillo. Tai Turkota says, Tai Turkota's party June 5th last 1 DP says, killed lethal venom cobra.
Almost there. Just need to go a little further.
Says, regarding Moonlight Desert Merchant Group's 2-page collected. Zenboy says, WP, tight, XOR Arc says, WP Zen, that was though, D.
Cheer up, adventurer.
PRMD says, Goon Fang looking for true gooners.
Finally arrived. Hey, thank you for your hard work.
Says, killed armadillo. Zenboy says, it's like a sumo. XOR Arc says, XD. Shirabaya says, L. Zenboy says, Tavern Brawl.
Hey, adventurer!
Zenboy says, GS.
Grow one and bring it to me.
Says, you have acquired sands that make money completion reward, S. Zenboy says, Stalls Will says, is matchmaking, Zenboy says, mine. XOR Arc says, Gwynres says, I got the boo-ow. Gwynres says, let's go XD. 2 Girl Bay says, why so serious? XOR Arc says, GZ. Unsayable says, has anyone had any luck adding people to the X Witchy says. Gwynres says, Karnix Netherbow. Terzu says, LF2 DPS LVL 20 Dungeon and LT. Hype says, killed lethal vet. Darain Okamura says, cry me a river new. XOR Arc says, nah friendlists. Zenboy says, go one more. Shirabaya says, LF1 heal or DPS butchers can. Zenboy says, forgot one small button. Terzu says, LF2 DPS LVL 20 Dungeon and LT, hyphen hyphen. Terzu says, LF2 DPS LVL 20 Dungeon and LT, hyphen hyphen. Mifu says, Mifu's Party Shadowed Crypt. Don Brock says, where are ants? Idney says, Tanasha is searching for members. We are a jur. Azrxelg says, where can I sell my weapons? Jajinbo says, Shirabaya says, LF1 heal or DPS Butcher's Canyon last boss. Tommy 421 says, you can't sell them. Says, you have acquired sands that Jajinbo says, you can only sell crafted weapons in auction house. Shirabaya says, LF1 heal or DPS Butcher's Canyon last boss.
Thanks to you, I've got some.
Says, you have acquired sands that make money completion reward, S. Wireless says, you can also sell items you get from world bosses. Dance Shadow says, 10th boss for secret dungeon is so bugged, WTF. Sujin says, do you know how to have Shoto Wyvern? Wireless says, bro, the 10th floor secret dungeon boss is annoying AF lol. Shirabaya says, LF1 heal or DPS Butcher's Canyon last boss. Graph Anime says, Schließ dich dem Mif or Shabal says. Idadariai says, Alguna Guild Hispaniola? Vater der Magier says, der Magi stot sucht aktiv Magier / Zauberer die Sichuns anschließen. Unser Ziel ist es einen Ort zu erobern in dem unser Stadt wachsen kann. Dungeons asu, Macken were natürlich auch, were frühen uns, says, Wilderb successfully gathered. Dalron says, Dalron's party final boss. Sethilia says, Yard Makolakak be Gildar Yorus. Spin Ruvok says, La Guilde Française li Niv de Corvo recruit des uses it des joueurs de Taus niveau it pour Taus types. Dalron says, killed Armadillo. Shirabaya says, LF1 heal or DPS Butcher's Canyon last boss. Dalron says, Cross Off Light says, our open world dungeon bugged. Kjo O says, can you please W8? Kjo O says, and let faking tanks start faking attack. Says, you have acquired secret in the sand dust completion reward, S. says, you have acquired secret in the sand dust completion reward, S. Yuka Fire says, Yuka Fire's party +1 arena ranking. Dalron says, Dalron's party final boss, last call. Yuka Fire says, Yuka Fire's party +1 arena ranking. Daxter019 says, LF for guild members. Says, killed sand turtle. Says, killed lethal venom cobra. Zendoyo says, Dalrond what boss? Says, killed lethal venom cobra. Zendoyo says, and quad, just doing some campaign and quad. Says, killed sand turtle. Says, killed lethal venom cobra. Says, you have completed the Wooden Oscars and Fox Academy. Says, you have entered a safe zone. Batter der Magier says, der Magi stot sucht active Magier / Zauberer die sich uns anschließen. Says, you have entered a peace zone. Shadow Shift says, LFGD Abyss. Page 4 and Kino says, need group in Shadowcrook depths. Dalron says, why does the dungeon keep giving me boots? I have like 8 pairs of boots and nothing else, D. Calypso says, LFGDD20. Hashkin says, it is your first mo. Don Brock says, Guild FR avec Discord recruit.
There's tons of monsters near the oasis. Is it because of the water?
Tears 0F Win says, go pin 2. Mifu says, Mifu's party shadow. Tears 0F Win says, come. Tiri Yukison says, dagger LFG 20 dom. Says, killed lethal venom cobra. Says, killed armadillo. Golden Heart says, LF. Sealy 1 says, DPS dispo crypt. Says, wild herb successfully gathered. Says, wild herb successfully gathered. Set SC0N says, plus. Says, killed spineback lizard. Tears 0F Win says, hey. Astero says, LF DPS LVL 50 dungeon. Nate Boss says, Shavashtuk. Fiasha says, Shiamate. Ederish says, Hallie. Finn Ruvok says parents de says terribles de a crier lay messages quang tu as pala clavier. Says, Moonstone successfully mined. Shade 249 says, Daz. Shank says. Mifu says, Mifu's party. Mifu says, Shadowed Crypt. Shadow Shift says, LFG Abyss DD. Or Shabal says, bro. Parade says, hello, die Gildaleos Asteri such and ditch. Does such snack einer Freundlichen Guild MIT Discord für Anthemer, Zoom gemeinsam Leveln, Grinden und mehr. Dan send uns Jetstein and Fridge. We're fruin uns auf ditch. Mylander says, LF showed wed crypt farm PT. Tears 0F Win says, LF Shadowed Repeat Healer. Drive 4 Cubic says, such guild. Shabik says, Igotch. Vaterder, Shade 249 says, Salutations of Interior, E.S. Shubik says, we heist die guild. Tai Turcoda says, Tai Turcoda's party DPS and healer LV30 dungeon. Modera 3 says, bro why no mobs here? Says, you have to select a target to apply markers. Hypnogages says, where is auction house? Where? Says, misguided applied marker to Helliver. Vaterder Magier says, Burncorp says, invite please. Says, currently unable to morph into a morphed form. Rafnvis says, 1 DPS for 2 Black and go.
In the abyss.
Twister1 says, only healer left for LVL 30 DNG, just queue up. Ponchiksu Livin says, LFMDD for Abyss. Eggerkin T says, DPS looking for party for LVL 20 Dunge.
Do you truly believe you can best me on your own? Death looms, terrible and inevitable. Despair in the abyss. To be vanquished,
Says, Abyssal contract token has been charged by 500. El Griotto Potato says, Elo. Ty Turcoda says, Ty Turcoda's party June 5th DPS LV 30 dungeon. Cruise 3 says, 2 DPS LFG asterisk 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 abyss. Ponchiksu Livin says, LFMDD for Abesis. Cruise 3 says, 2 DPS asterisk 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 asterisk. Tarave says, hello, die Gilda Leos Asteri such and ditch. Does such snack einer Freundlichen Guild MIT Discord für Anfänger, Zoom gemeinsamen Leveln, Grinden und mehr. Dan send uns jetzt ein Fridge. Wir freuen uns auf dich. Discord.gg/GWT70TJ. Thierry Yakison says, Dagger LFG 20 dumb. Ty Turcoda says, Ty Turcoda's party June 5th DPS LV. Golden Heart says, LFG Abyss DPS. Says, killed lethal venom cobra. Calypso says, LFGDD 20. Shade 249 says, Salutations of Interior, E.S., Notre Guild Recherche des Membres, Débutante, vous confirmez, vous serez les bienvenus, Ponchiksu Livin says, LFM last DD for Abyss.
Careful, there are swarms of dangerous monsters just hanging around the Midnight Oasis.
Galadri 3 lines 3 says, DPS it in Swagnir Abysses des Spectre. Vater der Magier says, der Magie stot sucht aktiv Magier /Zauberer die sich uns anschließen. Unser Ziel ist es einen Ort zu erobern in dem unser Stadt wachsen kann. Dungeons asu, machen wir natürlich auch, wir freuen uns auf dich. Grossek says, Tank LFG Abyss. Graph Anime says, Schließ dich Dam for lead, says, you have entered a safe zone. Herkes Kalbash says, Spectre's Abyss last boss. Says, Abyssal contract token has been charged by 810. Golden Heart says, LFG Abyss, DPS. Gwifto N says, DPS 1600 LFG Temple LVL 30. Fin Ruvok says, La Guilde Française La Nid du Corbeau Louvre says Porto Recruitment de Ju uses it, says, you have entered a peace zone. Herkes Kalbash says, Spectre's Abyss. Says, the notification enabled, peace, Morokai's schedule has begun. Zenboy says, after 5th LVL weapon mastery grows Omega slow. Says, peace, Chernobyl domain is a piece, Biapo says, LFG. Eurydica says, mash 1-9. Zenboy says, is it okay, or I miss some? Zenboy says, Agralian says, hopefully that works. Cerna S is on 0 says, Tarave says, Sasmira. Gwynres says, Whostick says, calm. Tarave says, calm Bea. Tarave says, hello, die Gildaleos Asteri such and ditch. Does such snack einer Freundlichen Guild MIT Discord for X or Arc says, I guess it just needs more exp. Silvero says, LF 3 meter shadowed crypt. Graph Anime says, Schließ dich dem for leaves ask. Zenboy says, dramatically more. Balthasar says, so. What's to look out for? First time this boss, D. XQP3XX says, Leo's party. Vater says, use training do, 1000 points x3 and earn 3000 and dagger crossbow mastery for the equipped weapon. Herkes Kalbash says, Spectre's Abyss need help at last boss. Dense Shadow Cruise 3 says, LFG Abyss we are 2 DPS. Hypnogages said, Stalls Will says, invite me. Niyat size Tospa says, healer plus plus. Seal Marillion says, invite. Niyat size Tospa says, Schnitzel says, inv please. Niyat size Tospa says, party please healer. Urhidus says, LF party. Depuas here says, how can I get X besides quests? Depuas here says, I'm stuck at LVL 44. Jackster019 says, LF for guild members. Zodiac says, go to level 40 group dungeon. Jagger says, Depuas, from what I read and saw, the blue quests in your codex give the most XP to level, but dungeons, bosses, events should too. Plus there, Galadri 3 lines 3 says, Temple Rugisant. Jagger says, X Shadow 911 says, guys, I am level 44 with 1500. Fifas G says, Boas Pesol. Hope says, party. Raph Anime says, Schließ dich dem for leaves asterisk 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 asterisken. Wir sind ein engagierten Freund like Gemeinschaft, die zusammenkämpft, wächst und siegt. Egal ob Anfänger oder Erfahruners, Big Dragon 76 says, can invite me please. Torbjorn says, DPS LVL 20 LFG. X Shadow 911 says, is Codex helpful for combat power? Says, earn 20 activity points. XOR Arc says, GGS. Misguided says, GG. The God07 says, any spot? Ponchiksu Livin says, LFMDD for Abyss. Freshdik says, Sry is mein erstmal im Dungeon was Musik da suchen. Rozek11 Imar says, Guild Crescendia looking for active adventurers who's kind and will help each other. Our guild is going on PvP/PvP/everywhere you want for now. Player status of guild is 10/70, but we will welcome everyone who enjoy playing this game. Says, Fruit Star Tree successfully logged. Now Karhu says, any Siloites is Abyss parties? Wall 2K says, Wall 2K says, Law. Wall 2K says, Exormian says, Guild Thundervale is recruiting more players for our journey. Says, killed deadly mandrake. Says, killed deadly mandrake. Gwifto N says, DPS 1600 plus LFG LVL 30 temple. Sir Les says, server maintenance. Sir Les says, doesn't seem like I can do any purchases. Says, killed Sand Scorpion. Rozak 11MR says, Guild Crescendia looking for active adventurers whose kind and wit says, killed Giant Crystal Scorpion. Mifu says, Mifu's part Arcangium says, Frus Onlithus F, Ludon, Ponchixu Livin says, LFM last DD for Abyss. Says, gigantic moonstone successfully mined. It's Tinky says, Ja. Says, killed deadly mandrake. Zrero says, Ben I need an Oddlyra Yorler. Arcangium says, why? Ponchixu Livin says, Zev Mezzalisi. X-Scout says, Envy Woolpack recruits new members. Gerslashang. Blonde Cyborg says, come in. Graph Anime says, Ziarash says, Astazd. It's Tinky says, Denerston. Mifu Blonde Cyborg says, 20 LVL ABC. Blonde Cyborg says, come in. Yupuk says, Mogwart C. Yupuk says, dow 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 dow. Who is here says, come on come on. Yupuk says, dow 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 dow. says, used Mistwood says, used Pure Gold X5 says, used Mana Steel X5. Calypso says, LFGDD20. Says, acquired all 2 leveling log rewards. Depu is here says, so. Zik says, Dama Varian says. Zik says, did anyone get it? Edda, Depu is here says, nope. Dama Varian says, damn. Says, you have acquired. Rozak 11 Mr says, Guild Crescendia looking for active adventurers who's kind and will help each other. Our guild is going on. Zik says, Oku Owl. Zik says, got it. Dama Varian says, nice. Zik says, Saya. Tickleus says, Tickleus's party 20 dungeon part need 3 DPS-1 heal. Tickleus says, Tickleus's party 20 dungeon part need 2 DPS-1 heal. Gil Golden says, Abismo del Espectro. Tickleus says, Tickleus's party 20 dungeon part need 1 heal. Mate Boss says, Appendix-the Abyssal Contract. Mifu says, Mifu's party Shadowed Crypt. Says, Star Tree successfully logged.
You need to set. Feel free to browse.
Mate Boss says, Appendix hyphen the Abyssal Contract.
Keep your eyes
Says, killed lethal venom cobra. Says, start, K's no my says, hello. Tickles says, Rosie says, Freemzy X says, group for DNG 30. Gil Galden says, go dungeon. Heliozo says, tank looking for Deets Abyss. Gil Galden says, go dungeon 20. Terzu says, why I can't open my package from this gold packet? Rozak 11 Mr says, Guild Crescendia looking for active adventurers who's kind and will help each other. Our guild is going on PvP/everywhere you want for now. Player status of guild is 11. Graph Anime says, Schließ dich dem for leaves **********. Wir sind ein engagierten freundliche Gemeinschaft, die zusammenkämpft, wächst und zieht. Egal ob Anfänger oder erfahrener Spieler, bei uns ist jeder willkommen. Says, Star Tree successfully logged. Zendoyo says, gold packet. Yupuk says, Mogwart C. Zendoyo says, did you buy something from the shop? XD. Zendoyo says, into game that is in this state XD. Rosie says, LFP tanks and DPS dungeon 20.
Almost there. Just need to go a little further.
Xpaxel says, LF Veliksh. Curtis says, LF tank heal DPS LVL. Latios bomb 3R says, Latios bomb 3R's party. Wall 2K says, killed lethal venom cobra.
Hey.
Rosie says, LFP tank and DPS.
But I prepared a small gift in this box. Please accept it.
Rosie says, dungeon 20. Louis Vuitton says, Healer LF Cave of Destruction. Says, Star Tree successfully logged. Docs V says, killed armadillo. Says, Star Trees. Freenzy X says, DPS for DNG 30. Exormian says, Guild Thundervale is recruiting more players for our journey. Yuka Fire says, Yuka Fire's Party Cave of Destruction plus 1 tank plus 3 DD. Heliozo says, tank LVL 50 looking for Death Abyss. Rosek 11 MR says, Guild Crescendia looking for active adventurers who's kind and will help each other. Our guild is going on the /dungeon/p says, killed lethal venom cobra. Vialder says, Hola, como puedo agregar an amigo, says, Queen Bellandir's 7 action patterns book collected. Zyle Godry says, LF DPS for LVL 20 dungeon. Consoli says, plus. Rosie says, LFP tank and DPS dungeon LVL 20. Consoli says, tank. Consoli says, invent me. Or Chaval says. Lucas TFPN says, A. Rosie says, LFP DPS dungeon LVL 20. Says, Star Tree successfully logged. Says, killed lethal venom cobra. Zyle Godry says, LF DPS LVL 20 dungeon. Says, killed lethal venom cobra. Sir Les says, GL. Graph Anime says, Schließ dich dem for leaves asterisk ast. Rosie says, LFP DPS Dungeon LVL 20. Zyle Gaudry says, LF2 DPS for LVL 20 Dungeon. Rozak 11 MR says, Guild Chris says, Star Tree successfully logged. Mifu says, Mifu's party shadowed crypt. Torbjorn says, Thorkun says, LFP to shadowed crypt. Rosie says, LFP 1 DPS Dungeon LVL 20. Ticolas says, ST. Myron says, can someone catapult me please? Says, wild herb successfully gathered. Ricky 96 says, hello everyone. DBRQ says, infer DPS. Ricky 96 says, have one question. Zyle Gaudry says, LF DPS. Crispy says, hello Elizale says, DPS up for 30 DJ. Juzier says, come, FFF. Xbartki says, why can't I join 2 and nest raid? Silvero says, it is yes. Terzu says, where can I open my messages? Xbartki says, in there but no mobs. Silvero says, mostly used in PvP. Ricky 96 says, Rosa. Freenzy X says, DPS for DMG 30. Jurady says, looking for DMG Death's Abyss, please no max, 4x DMG needed. Rosie says, Ricky 96 says, I would say crit hit chance, but what you think? Silvero says, crit DPS builds are good. Ricky 96 says, so, mostly crit hit chance. Freenzy X says, Freenzy X's party group for DNG 30. Silvero says, I use. Jurady says, looking for DMG Death's Abyss, please no max, 4x. Torbjorn says, DPS level 20 looking for group. Silvero says, crit hit for DPS. Ricky 96 says, I'm a DPS, dagger and Xbox, so I think I should go for crit hit. Zyle Ricky 96 says, Xbow asterisk. Ricky 96 says, right. Xbartki says, probably yes. Rozak 11 MR says, yes you should. Silvero says, yes, for sure. Rozak 11 MR says, Freenzy X says, Freenzy X's party group for DNG 30. Ricky 96 says, nice. Thanks for you feedback. Rozak11MR says, no problem. Silvero says, Ricky96 says, about the stats, should I only LVL Dex? What do I do with the other stats? Taivara says, heal LF 20 lira. FreenZX says, FreenZX is party somewhat. Silveros, Rozak11MR says, Deck, Free Fall Prim says, Gem and Lust of den Dungeon Gespenster of Grund. Rozak11MR says, but perception is also a good choice. Rozak11MR says, and strength if you feel you need more HP. Says, regarding Moonlight Desert Merchant Group's 4-page collected. ITZ Daisy says, looking for DPS and tank 20 lira. Ricky96 says, okay, gonna see how I fell about it, thanks a lot. Rozak11MR says, NP. Rozak11MR says, if you need anything just ask. Taivara says, heal LFG 20 lira. Seola, Ricky96 says, I will be sure to ask, most forward way to learn. Rozak11MR says, Guild Crescendia looking for active adventurers who's kind and will help each other. Our guild is going on PvP/PvP/everywhere you want for now. Player status of guild is 11/70, but we will welcome everyone who enjoy playing this game. FreenZX says, FreenZX is party DNG 30. Gretchen says, LV20 DPS LFG Abyss. QP says, hi. says, you have acquired Queen's Blessing completion reward, S. Humidor says, Mask of the Resistance. Mifu says, WTF. Graph Anime says, Schließt dich dem for leaves asterisk 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 asterisken. Wir sind ein engagierten freundliche Gemeinschaft, die zusammenkämpft, wächst und siegt. Egal ob Anfänger oder Erfahrener Spieler, bei uns ist jeder willkommen. Sawson says, let him kill. Calypso says, LFGDD 20. Theosisobia says, Kanas El Nizan. Says, stat distribution complete. X-Freaker says, how do we get fish bait without gathering? Wall 2K says. Snowflake Blanca says, what's the best healer setup in terms of weapon choice? 1 plus what? Theosisobia says, 1 staff. Mr. Rare says, 1 bow can be buys 2. Mr. Rare says, for healers. Says, rare armor growth stone X1 has been consumed in inventory. Says, rare armor growth stone X2 has been consumed in inventory. Says, rare arm, Snowflake Blanca says, okay, so for tanketed, Blion, says, rare armor growth stone X4 has been consumed in, rare armor growth stone X5 has been consumed in inventory. Says, rare armor growth stone X6 has been consumed in inventory. Mr. Rare says, rare accessory growth stone X5 has been consumed in inventory. Popuco says, La Mission and Quad, C. Piedras de Monumento and Quad, Esta Bugiada, says, rare armor growth stone X6 has been consumed in inventory. Dark Hecate says, Dispo Abyss DPS 1850. Says, the notification enabled Jig and Trite schedule has begun. Snowflake Blanca says, I'm more so aiming at a dungeon tank / healer setup BTW. Says, summon Shadow Mayhem. Rozak11MR says, Guild Crescendia looking for active adventurers. Snowflake Blanca says, 2 different setups XD not 1. Vater der Magier says, der Magi Stotsucht active Magier / Zauberer die sich uns anschließen. Unser Ziel. Theosophia says, Kanas el Nizan. Gretchen says, LFGLV 21 DPS Abyss. Theosophia says, E. Theosophia says, Saw. Heliozo says, damn. Rozak11MR says, Guild Crescendia looking for active adventurers who's kind and will help each other. Our guild is going on the /dungeon /pvp everywhere you want for now. Player status of guild is 11/70, but we will welcome everyone who enjoy playing this game. If you interest, send mail or whisper to me, D. Popuco says, Ninga en Español. Consoli says, don't run. Snowflake Blancas. Heliozo says, heal up. Crarch says, Puta, que necesitas? No asterisk 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 XD. Sufit says, Sufit's party June 3rd 40 Abyss. Theosophia says, Kanas el Nizan. Vater der Magier says, der Magi Stotsucht. Popuco says, Lamish. Sufit says, Sufit's party June 3rd 40 Abyss. Popuco says, por camino me sale nada, y busco en la zona de circulo y nada. Sufit says, Sufit's party June 3rd 40 Abyss. Mifu says, Mifu's party shadowed crypt. Yumsufit says, Yumsufit's party abyss 40L. Consoli says, yay. Vader says, man, running 6 tanks on Death's Abyss is the best strat.
Do you truly believe you can best me on the road? Death looms, terrible and inevitable.
Arkend says, where do you get raring for blue items? Olens says, Bonjour La Guild Archlord Recruit IC. Rosek 11 Imar says, Guild Crescendia looking for active adventurers who's kind and will help each other. Our guild is going on /dungeon/PvP/ everywhere you want for now player. Kalodi says, looking for shadowed crypt PT. Dark Eater Duke says, you cannot have any. Yumsufit says, Yumsufit's party abyss. Zuner says, Tipolis says, 1 DPS 20. Dark Eater Duke says, you get blue items from quest. Mifu says, Mifu's party shadowed crypt. Misguided says, GG. Valmer says, GG. Arkend says, can I get rare lithograph papers? Dark Eater Duke says, maybe from auction. Gretchen says, LFG 22 DPS Abyss. Dark Eater Duke said, Arkend says, yay, but how do I make / farm them? Zuner says, Zuner's party shadowed. Freenzy X says, group for DNG 30. Theosisobia says, Kana El Nazidi. Mifu says, Mifu's party shadowed crypt. Skippy to Skip says, Ne Ray Malaka. Skippy to Skip says, T Vesant GT. Lachikaloka says, GRP for Dungeon LVL 30. Skippy to Skip. Marasville says, Babu LXS invite moi. Theosisobia says, Exum Guild. Skippy to Skip says, Oxy. Freenzy X says, Freen. Calypso says, LFGD. Skippy to Skip says, I'm me Germanus. Zuner says, Zuner. Theosisobia says, Mises do lies bro. Valgoth says, Op, P alloy elms. Freenzy X says, Freenzy X's party LVL 30+. Theosisobia says, Pain Ligo ta el Napala na mezu amist na canu. Exormian says, Guild Thundervale is recruiting more players for our journey. Valgoth says, Axis oim emis oilns en a guild. Skippy to Skip Zoom Rozak 11 Mr says, Guild Crescendia looking for active adventurers who's kind and will help each other. Our guild is going on /. Torbjorn says, DPS level 22 looking. Theosisobia says, Estila Ikai. Yevon PL says, Sawjak. Valgoth says, Theosisobia says, Mpaderk Santai Kai Alloy 8 Dikimu. Theosisobia says, Graps Greek Sto Search. Theosisobia says, Vostin Gully. Theosisobia says, 26/70. Zuner says, Zuner's party shadowed crypt. Ottaviano says, Frenzy X. Skippy to Skip says, Estila Kayagu Edima. Valgoth says, Den Muurk Santai friends request invites Gia Capoyolo go. Sajinstinct says, Ein Ibakaris Menno. Mifu says, Mifu's party shadowed crypt. Vater der Magier says, Der Magi stot sucked active Magier / Zauberer die Sichun. Rozak 11 Mr says, Guild Crescendia looking for act. Skippy to Skip says, Felina. Valgoth says, El. Torbjorn says, Gaddy says, Greeks, my Greek friend teached me that work and quad, Malaka and quad, is for friend hello Malakas. Gaddy says, word asterisk. Terzu says, let's say in quad, friend and quad, Ulmao. Ulfi Girl Waifu says, we're such a knock and spand loot die Bach haben sich uns anzuschließen. 18 plus DC. Gemein sames level nimmt Raiden. Ertu Girl Bay says, nobody is laughing lil bro. Kennedy says, SS. Kennedy says, SSS. SC0N says, plus plus. Graph Anime says, Schließ dich dem for leaves asterisk 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 asterisken. Wir sind ein engagierten freundliche Gemeinschaft, die zusammenkämpft, wächst und siegt. Egal ob Anfänger oder Vereiner Spieler, bei uns ist jeder willkommen. Gaddy says, who are you talking to or to girl? KVXXR says, DPS LFG DPS. Kennedy, Vater der Magier says, der Magi stot sucht active Magiers, Darane Okamura says, I think to you because he is right, D. Two girl bay says, to you lil bro keep that mouth shut. Gaddy says. Vestkohler says. Mifu says, Mifu's party shadowed crypt LF heel. Darane Okamura says, you don't understand probably. Lucas TFPN says, accept one to the dungeon. Gaddy says, to girl are you talking to me? Gividum says, ancient tapestry mantle. Jutsao Yu says, Fjez. Darane Okamura says, yay H for sure he is talking to. Vestkohler says, bro is mad. Torbjorn says, DPS level. Terzu says, LVL 28 tank LFG LV. Gaddy says, Greeks mad cause I am calling them friends. Rosek 11 MR says, Guild Crescendia looking for active adventurers who's kind and will help each other. Our guild is going on PvP/PvP/ everywhere you want for now. Player status of guild is 12/70 but we will welcome everyone who enjoy playing this game. If you interest send mail or whisper to me. Darane Okamura says, ahahaha you are so funny. Mifu says, Mifu's party shadowed crypt. Gaddy says, TF you mean. Schulpun says, LFP LVL 20 Abyss LVL 37 staff/healer. Vestkohler says, bro just shut up. Gaddy says, who is your bro? Alotl says, chill out lil bro. Two girl bay says, that's why I don't like you. Gaddy says, yeah chill out guys or I will shit my pants. Darane Okamura says, hopefully. Gaddy says, Mad Greek. Bardolph says, cinema. Gaddy says, Girl Bay says, let's don't discriminate here, okay dude. Gaddy says, what? Cookie Bear 02 says, Lizox is bro. Alotl says, Cardival Kopf. Rozek 11 Mr says, Guild Crescendia looking for active adventurers who's kind and will help each other. Ajrax says, see. Hyperion Gur says, Ich bin kein Cardival Kopf. Bigdens Vestkohler says, remove the T from your name Gaddies. Bardolph says, imagine being German. Girl Bay says, going against black people is. Gaddies says, yes, and? Hyperion Gur says, Bardolph says, Alotl says, imagine being married to a German. Bardolph says, Wilde ik ein Fommel so sagen. Harald Risler says, Cake my day is recruiting gods on our way to Ohio. Gaddy says, Hot chua. Alotl says, yo where TF are pine mushrooms. Girl Bay says, Harald stop promoting dog water. Darane Okamura says, Bist du das chocolate cream? Bardolph says, Harald the Graph Anime says, Schließ dich dem for leaves asterisk 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 asterisken. Wir sind ein engagierten freundliche Gemeinschaft, die zusammenkämpft, wächst und siegt. Egal ob Anfänger oder Erfahrener Spieler, bei uns ist jeder willkommen. Kirbington says, I hate. Alotl says, Ich bin kein chocolate cream. Calypso says, LFGDD20. Harald Risler says, Ich bin is a harem. Bardolph says, dude that's not chocolate ice cream XD. Bardolph says, that's cafe. Vestkohler says, lol. Alotl says, Bist du ein asterisk 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 asterisk. Harald Risler says, Chalk ice am start. Alotl says, oh. Girl Bay says, Vater der Magier says, der Magie stot sucht aktiv Magier / Zauberer die sich uns anschließen. Unser Ziel ist es einen Ort zu erobern in dem der Stadt wachsen kann. Dungeons Asu, Macken were naturlich out. JSSKQQ6F5 says, BBPOE call. Incuba says, hier were Deutsch gesprochen. Alotl says, Junga Jung Jung. Darane Okamura says, English please. Incuba says, Neen. Rosa Alotl says, Neen Dank. Arctic says, Sprich Deutsch du. Lactosefri says, Inv me for abyss or roaring. Bardolph says, HS. Gretchen says, LFG. Hustik says, Lacoria says, looking for heel. Girl Bay says, all them German people are racist. Arctic says, HS equals headshot. Incuba says, Neen falsch. Vestkohler says, Schnell Shiro. JSSKQQ6F5 says, BBPOE com sell cheap loosened, use code and quad, TL5 and quad, get 5% off, yoks. Lacoria says, looking for heat says, added JSS, Mifu says, Mifu's party 2 foreshadowed Jaeger says, 2, most certainly not, El Patatato says, looking for my dad.
Excuse me. I think you picked up a box. Oh, yes. This is the box that... Oh, there it is. I've been looking for this drawing. It's a clue to something very important. The leader's seal is hidden. If I put the pieces on a sharp-eyed person, please use this key to put together the rest.
Selling sandworm bait.
You, adventurer, take a look at my ware. Choose carefully. We're sure to have something you need. By the way, I heard the bandits have been rather quiet these days. I wonder if something's going to happen. The quarry in the abandoned stonemason town fills with water when it rains. If you can't swim, be careful. You may fall into the deep end. The quarry in the abandoned stonemason town fills with water when it rains. If you can't swim, be careful. You may fall into the deep end.